Hi everybody, it is Saturday, October 6th, 2018, and I just wanted to make a video and share with you all that I passed my test, my personal training test through ACE this morning. I'm super pumped, I'm so relieved, and I just want to create a video just to, while it's all fresh in my mind, tips that I think would help people that are going to be taking the exam, or just some tips on studying for the test too, and just overall, how I felt. So I took about 3 months to study. I started back in end of June. I studied about, I would say, a couple days a week, just reading the chapters. I followed the Academy Elite on the ACE Fitness website that kind of goes through all the different chapters, and there's videos and practice tests along the way, and it also tells you what things to read. There was obviously the most important book is the ACE manual. There was the Essentials of Exercise Science, which I didn't read this book too much, but there was some readings that they recommended, and I just kind of skimmed those. I pretty much skimmed the chapters too, and just highlighted, I read pretty much, skimmed the chapters in the manual, and just focused a lot on chapters 7 and 8, which I hear is most important for the test, so made sure to focus on those and just highlighted things that I thought were important. And I also did the practice tests in the study companion, which I thought were pretty helpful, and they had tests throughout. I kind of went over different things that I need to focus on, so I thought those are all pretty helpful. But for the exam today, I was really nervous. Before I signed up for this certification, if you all follow me or see my videos, I used to do bodybuilding and CrossFit. So obviously I know, I have a background in fitness, and I'm pretty knowledgeable on nutrition too. So I'm like, oh, this certification should be not too bad, and I'm very interested in it. But there's just so much information. So it was a very humbling experience along the way with studying and everything. And just, I never realized how much that personal trainers actually know. There's just so much that I didn't even think about. So it was a bit of a challenge to learn like the structural deviations and which muscles, depending on what workout or what exercise you're doing, what muscles are tight and which are lengthened. And so that was a little challenging to learn all that. But I jotted down a list of things around my exam because it's all fresh in my brain. I just took it a few hours ago. And I will say that most of the stuff that I focused a lot on, because I was in a Facebook group online. There's a ACE personal training, kind of like a group you can post in for questions and study tips, things like that. And a lot of people were saying, oh, focus on this and that. And everything that I focused on that they said wasn't really on my test. I know all the tests are different, they're kind of formatted differently, or they might have one more focus on one area or the other. But I'm just going to go through what was on my test. So there was a lot on the trans-theoretical model of behavioral change. So the pre-contemplation, contemplation, preparation, action, maintenance. Quite a few questions on that. So know, what stage that they're in. There was quite a few questions on the stages of learning, which I didn't really study too much on, but they're pretty simple questions. Cognitive, associative, and autonomous. There were about 10 videos, so you had to see, depending on what they're doing, which muscles are tight, or what the modifications or visual cues, not visual cues, but like what verbal cues would you give them based on what you see. So knowing, what just doesn't look right, or what kind of deviation is going on here, if there is one. There was a question on predicting body fat percentage, so they do have a calculator on there that you can use. The planes of motion, there was only one question, I think, on planes of motion. I felt like this was really this was really stressed in the study materials about planes of motion. You not gotta know planes of motion, sagittal, frontal, transverse. There's only one question. There were no questions on posterior anterior tilt. I studied so much on that because I was reading everywhere people were talking about it. I need to know, if they have an anterior tilt, which muscles are tight, or posterior, what. So like I knew that stuff so well, and there's nothing on the test about posterior tilt or pelvic tilt. There were a few nutritional questions. Actually, a couple questions that were duplicates. I don't know if they do that on purpose, just to like make sure that you know it. But there were a few, especially the one about nutrition. There was two of the same question, just about like calories and fat and percentage. Know which muscles extend and flex, especially regarding the squat, and leg press, what's extending, what's flexing, things like that. Know the training principles, so specificity, reversibility. There are a few questions on that. So for your clients, a swimmer, what should you focus on, or what lifts? There were several questions on the barriers that clients have. So the client is struggling with not showing up to sessions. What is your approach? What should that look like? If they have trouble with adhering to the program, what things can you really do? A lot of stuff was mostly common sense, just how to be a good trainer, meaning with like your relationship with them. How do you say things so that you can keep them, reaching their goals? And if there's problems that arise, how do you address that? Questions about, empathy and building rapport. It was pretty heavy on that. So just relationship building and from the very beginning. Let's see. Yeah, so how to overcome when there is a setback or a problem. There was minimal questions about the IFT model. I don't think there was one question that I can think of. Yeah, nothing on cardio zones, minimal on VT1, VT2, which I studied a lot on. I've heard we had to study a lot on that. I obviously know what they are, like how to define them, like what is VT1, VT2, but nothing on the cardio zones. I know my practice tests for the Academy Elite, the 2 practice tests at the end, there was a lot on the cardio zones and what percentage of time should be based on the client's goals, but none of that was on there. The Thomas test and the passive leg screen, so know like your fitness tests, why we do these tests, what to look for, like the purpose of the fitness tests. There wasn't really much on postural deviations, but obviously know them. And kind of what they look like, what might be tight, what exercises to do if someone has kyphosis, like what exercises can you do for that. And there was nothing. This really was frustrating to me. There was nothing on risk stratification. Do you know how many questions I had seen on risk stratification? So I learned that so well. I mean about. So basically, age, and if they're smoker, sedentary life, how many, like, what's high triglycerides, or cholesterol levels, what, things like to check off, examples of like a client, and, so-and-so has this and this. How many risk factors do they have? Would you have them do a medical clearance or consult with their physician? There's nothing like that. There's something that on the exam. So that will kind of get me frustrated. There are several things where I'm like, I mean, it's good to know, of course, to be trainers, but there's nothing on the test, nothing on my test anyway, with risk stratification. I'm trying to think of what else. There are a few questions on pregnancy, diabetes, like special populations, water intake, so knowing how much to drink before, during, and after working out, staying hydrated during hot and humid weather, clothing to wear when it's cold out and you're exercising. I think that's about it. That's all I can remember right now. So, I mean, I think it was all stuff I pretty much studied, but the stuff that I really focused on wasn't on it. So that was a little frustrating, but also kind of a relief that I feel like I knew most of the questions. So how I did it was, oh yeah, and there's also nothing on muscle names. So specific muscles. I know I studied like the rotator cuff, like the SITS acronym, I studied that. Nothing really on the scapular. None of that. There weren't any specific, like, name this muscle. Nothing like that. But anyway, so how I did the test was I took about an hour and a half to complete all the questions. So there's 150 questions. And then for like so then once I did that, I took about 45 minutes and went through all the questions again just to make sure I answered them correctly. I changed a few of my answers. I know I don't like to do that because usually, you go with your first gut, but there were a few that I had to change because I read the question wrong, or like some of the later questions will remind you to go back. Oh yeah, there, kind of reminds you to go back and change an answer because you were able to kind of work through it in other questions, if that makes sense. And so I did that, and then I was just really nervous to press that submit button because I felt okay about it. I didn't feel like, oh, I really feel good about this. Because like the first couple questions that I did, I was like, oh my gosh, this is tough. I don't know this. I don't know a lot of these. I felt like, so there were some that kind of, throw you for a loop, and you kind of doubt yourself. I know I felt like that. I felt like with the format of it, because there's 4 options, and there were two options that just did not, didn't make sense, or it's clearly the wrong answer, and then there were 2 that could be the answer. So you kind of have to choose what's the best answer. I know a lot of the practice quizzes for study materials, a lot of them were like, what's the best response? So that was kind of, I want to make sure I'm making the right. I mean, both of them sound really good, but you gotta choose the best one. So that was, you gotta know the ACE way of things. So that was, my kind of experience with the test today and how I studied. So now I plan to continue at my job. So I work with people with serious mental illness at a nonprofit. But now I can get more clients, because before I was using a lot of my work time to study, and now I can just get more clients, and I'm just so relieved. I know at the end of the test they do a survey before you get your results. There's like a survey before you get your results, and it just said like, how do you think you did in each domain, and how do you think the testing center was, and blah blah blah. And I was like, I literally said out loud, I was like, screw it, submit, and then it comes up and you get your results. But yeah, I'm very relieved. I was very nervous. My heart was beating fast before I took the exam, and then at the very end when I was about to submit it, I was like, oh, I really didn't think I passed. But yeah, I'm super relieved. So I hope this was helpful. I feel like it was kind of all over the place, but if you guys have any questions about it, or you're studying or you're taking the exam soon, you have any questions about how it went, or something that I didn't cover, leave a comment, and good luck to you guys if you're taking it soon, and I'll see you next time. Bye.